Hospitals and morgues are meant to bring closure, but what if some spirits never got the memo? From ghostly figures caught on camera to unexplained movements in supposedly empty rooms, these chilling clips revealed something truly scary.
All of a sudden I look over and there's someone standing there in a nurse's outfit and she's holding a candle, and I said, "Hi, how are you?" And she just...
Are these just glitches and shadows, or proof that the dead aren't done with us yet? To find out, let's take a look at the videos caught in morgues and hospitals. The ghostly child of Honduras. It all started as just a whisper, rumors drifting through a hospital in Honduras. People talked about a child seen wandering the halls late at night. Creepy thing was, no one could ever figure out who he was. He wasn't a patient, he wasn't visiting anyone. He'd just show up, then vanish. At first, the staff brushed it off. Patients can be disoriented, especially at night. Maybe it was a dream, a side effect of medication. But then it kept happening. And that's when things got really strange. Nurses started noticing patients waking up without their oxygen masks, masks they went to sleep wearing. The weird part? None of them remembered taking them off. Some were even adamant they hadn't moved all night. Then one night, a patient who'd heard the rumors decided to record himself while he slept, just in case. What his phone caught sent a chill down his spine. Around midnight, his blanket visibly lifted on its own, stretching outward as if a small hand was tugging at it. Then it suddenly dropped. Terrified, he slammed the emergency button. Nurses rushed in and searched the entire room. Nothing. No one under the bed, no open windows, no signs of a prank. Everything looked normal, but the footage said otherwise. And that child? Still a mystery. Some believe it's the ghost of a young patient, lost and confused. Others think it's something darker. Either way, one thing's for sure, there's more wandering those hospital halls than just nurses on night rounds. The moving chair. Hospitals are built on routine and reason. So why was a chair sliding across the floor with no one in sight? It was just another quiet night shift at the hospital, nothing out of the ordinary, until the security guard heard a strange sound. It was soft, like a dragging or scraping noise, echoing through the empty reception area. Curious, she looked up at the monitors, and that's when she saw it. A chair, completely on its own, started to move. At first, it just nudged a little, like it was testing the waters. But then, without anyone touching it, the thing slid smoothly across the floor. No breeze, no one nearby, nothing that could have pushed it. Just an empty room and a chair that decided to go for a little stroll. The footage is seriously eerie. The way it moves doesn't look accidental or like it's from a wobbly floor. It moves in this slow, steady, almost intentional kind of way. Later, the guard explained that this wasn't the first time she'd seen something weird. That same chair had moved before, but this was the first time she actually caught it on camera. And this time, there was no easy way to explain it away. People who've seen the clip have their theories. Some say it's just tricks of the light, or maybe the floor is uneven. Others are convinced the place is haunted. The Peekabboo Spirit. One late night during his usual patrol, a security guard was walking through a quiet hospital when he heard something strange. The sound came from a dimly lit hallway. Soft, almost playful, like a giggle or a quick shuffle. It wasn't loud or aggressive, more like the kind of sound a kid might make while playing hide and seek. Naturally, it piqued his curiosity.
The light, like that one just right there, those are what they call it.
He pulled out his camera and pointed it toward the area, just to be sure. At first, everything looked normal. The hallway was empty, still, just as it should have been. Then it happened. From behind a desk at the far end of the corridor, something moved.
But I mean, you hear voices. I mean, they could be people that are, on the floor below me. I know.
A small figure, just barely visible, peeked out quickly and then darted back, almost too fast to register. It looked like a child, but there was no way to tell for sure. The figure had a shadowy outline, and before the guard could even react, it was gone. He froze, still recording, his eyes scanning the darkness. Moments later, another movement, but this time from the opposite side.
Or it's supposedly something that...
A second figure peeked out just as fast. When he reviewed the footage later, it hit him. If this had been a single person, there was no physical way they could have moved from one side of the hallway to the other in that amount of time. It wasn't just strange, it was impossible. Some say the video shows the spirits of two children, maybe former patients, still playing long after their time had passed. Innocent, maybe even unaware that the world had moved on without them. Others think it's just a trick of the light, a weird shadow caught at just the right moment. What makes it even more unsettling? If those were spirits, they weren't hiding from him. They were watching him. The self-moving stretcher. In the stillness of the night at Peekabboo Hospital, a lone worker saw something that made him question the very laws of physics. A stretcher, parked neatly in the middle of the corridor, started to move on its own. At first, it was slow, almost like it was testing the waters. But then, without warning, the stretcher changed direction. No one was near it, no one touched it, and yet it slowly glided forward, as if some invisible force was pulling it along. The worker, stunned and a little unnerved, whipped out his phone and started recording the eerie event. Afterward, he shared the footage with his colleagues. Some dismissed it, suggesting the floor was uneven and gravity was just doing its thing. But others weren't so quick to chalk it up to physics. If the floor had been slanted, why did the stretcher veer off in a completely different direction? And why did it move with such smooth, unnatural precision? Hospitals are places where life and death collide, where countless souls have passed through the doors. Some believe certain energies linger after death, manifesting in strange, unexplainable ways. Was this just a freak accident? Or was something, or someone, trying to make its presence known? No answers were found, only a chilling realization. Sometimes, even the inanimate refuses to stay still. Ceiling tiles in motion. Most spirits tend to keep things subtle, just enough to leave people guessing, but not the one caught in this video. This poltergeist had other plans. It seemed determined to make its presence impossible to ignore. So obvious, in fact, that if anyone missed it, they might need an eye exam. The strange incident took place in a nurse's clinic. She was enjoying a quiet break, casually scrolling through her phone with no patients around. Everything felt normal until the spirit decided it wasn't a fan of her relaxing. Out of nowhere, the ceiling tiles began to shift, slowly at first, almost like they were moving in sync with each other. The nurse, understandably startled, quickly pulled out her phone to record the bizarre sight. And that's when things escalated. The tiles began moving even faster, almost as if the spirit knew it was being watched. The result? A deeply unsettling display that left everyone asking the same question: what kind of force could cause something like this? Woman with a demonic voice. Could there be something supernatural at work here, or is it all just a strange coincidence waiting for a logical explanation? In this case, we're taken to a hospital in Paris, where a man named Jonathan found himself witnessing something he never expected. What started as a normal visit quickly turned into a chilling encounter that left more questions than answers. In one of the hospital rooms, Jonathan came across a woman behaving in an extremely disturbing way. Her voice, low and guttural, began spewing out threats and insults in a tone that didn't sound human. But the most unsettling part? Her mouth never moved, and her lips remained perfectly still, even as the deep voice filled the room. She was completely still except for her chest moving up and down with each breath, like the voice was coming from deep inside her without her saying a word. Jonathan instinctively began recording the moment, probably hoping that what he was witnessing wasn't as strange as it seemed. But the footage cuts off abruptly, leaving us with no idea what happened next. Did the woman suddenly stop? Was she removed from the room? Or did something even more terrifying occur once the camera stopped rolling? Some believe it was a textbook example of demonic possession. The deep voice combined with her unmoving face seemed like clear signs. Others argue it might have been a psychological episode, or maybe even some kind of bizarre ventriloquism stunt taken to the extreme. No matter what the cause, the video itself is undeniably unsettling, and everyone who's seen it is left with the same uneasy feeling that something just wasn't right in that hospital room. Ghost of a former child patient. You'd be surprised how many nurses have ghost stories, but one photo shared online might be the creepiest of them all. There's one story that keeps resurfacing online, a chilling tale tied to a mysterious photograph that's been circulating on social media for years. According to those who've shared it, the photo supposedly captures the ghost of a child who died in a hospital. It's gone viral multiple times, sparking heated debates and wild theories in the comments. In the image, you can just barely make out the translucent shape of a young child standing in the middle of a dimly lit hospital hallway. The outline is faint, but distinct enough. You can see a head, a torso, even small legs. It's undeniably eerie. But it's not just this photo that sends shivers down people's spines. Ask almost any nurse who's worked the night shift, especially in ICU, ER, or hospice, and chances are they've got a story. Some claim they've seen former patients quietly walking the halls long after they've passed. Others have heard unexplained footsteps in empty corridors, doors creaking open or slamming shut without warning, or disembodied whispers drifting through the dark. Many nurses describe the unmistakable feeling of being watched, or worse, followed, when no one else is around. Some even report feeling an invisible hand graze their arm, or a sudden icy chill that cuts right through them. Certain spots in the hospital just feel heavy, like the air is thicker. And those areas? They're often where spirits are believed to linger. Then there are the shadow figures, those quick flashes at the edge of your vision. They dart between rooms or disappear down hallways before you can get a clear look. It's especially unsettling when it happens in wings that are supposed to be completely empty. Of course, skeptics chalk it all up to stress, exhaustion, or the mind playing tricks under pressure. But talk to enough healthcare workers, and you start to see a pattern. These aren't just ghost stories, they're deeply personal experiences, vivid and emotional, that feel undeniably real to the people who lived them. So could that viral photo truly show the spirit of a child still haunting a hospital? It's hard to say. The image is blurry, the figure unclear. But one thing's for sure, hospitals hold more than just memories. And stories like this one continue to haunt our imagination, reminding us that maybe some souls never really leave. The CCTV Mystery. CCTV cameras are designed to capture the mundane, to track people, places, and events as they happen in real time. But every so often, they record something that doesn't quite make sense. That's exactly what happened in a hospital just weeks before it was set to close for good. One particular surveillance video from that time has left everyone with more questions than answers. The footage starts like any typical hallway recording. Dim lighting, an eerie stillness, and nothing out of the ordinary. Then, something strange occurs. A glowing, almost translucent shape dashes behind a frosted glass door, just barely visible, but undeniably moving with purpose. The security guard monitoring the live feed initially chalks it up to a glare, or maybe an odd reflection. But the movement was deliberate. Curiosity takes over. The guard decides to check it out for himself. His footsteps echo down the quiet hallway as he approaches the door where the figure was last spotted. He scans the area for anything, or anyone, that could explain what he just saw. But there's nothing, just silence and an empty corridor. Then, it happens. The same glowing figure zips past him at an unnatural speed. A burst of light with no discernible source, no shape, just movement. It vanishes into thin air, leaving the guard stunned and visibly shaken. He realizes this wasn't some glitch or lighting anomaly. Something real had been caught on that footage, something that didn't belong in our world. Was it a restless spirit lingering in the hospital's halls? A mere trick of the light? Or something even more unexplainable? There's no clear answer, but one thing's certain. This hospital was hiding something, and whatever it wasn't ready to stay hidden. Torso in Mexico. Ghost sightings are chilling on their own, but when they seem to defy the very laws of physics, the fear factor skyrockets. That's exactly what makes this next incident so unsettling. Captured on video by a night security guard in Mexico, it has become one of the strangest and most disturbing paranormal encounters ever caught on tape. The hospital where it happened already had its share of eerie rumors. For years, staff had whispered about strange occurrences, phantom footsteps echoing down empty halls, lights flickering without cause, and ghostly figures that seemed to materialize out of nowhere. Some dismissed it as superstition, the kind of tall tales that make long shifts feel less monotonous. But everything changed when this footage surfaced. At first, the video seems perfectly normal. The corridor is dimly lit and eerily still, nothing out of place. But then, something truly impossible happens. If you look closely, a torso appears from the ground. No legs, no lower half. Just the upper body of a person slowly rising up, fading in and out, like it's phasing in and out of different dimensions. The security guard who recorded the footage is adamant that it wasn't a camera glitch. According to him, what we're seeing is the spirit of someone attempting to make contact from beyond the grave. But how do you explain a ghost that isn't even fully formed? Skeptics have suggested camera distortion or compression errors, but those who believe in the paranormal see it very differently. Could this be the soul of a patient trapped between worlds, unable to fully pass on? Whatever it is, the footage doesn't offer any clear answers, only a deeply disturbing glimpse into something we may never fully understand. Breezy Encounter. The camera never lies, and neither did Breezy's terrified voice when he realized he wasn't alone. One quiet night, while posted in the hospital lobby, Jay did what he always did, keeping an eye on the monitors, staying alert, and waiting for the hours to pass. But then, out of nowhere, something strange began to unfold right before his eyes. On the surveillance footage, Jay can be seen calmly scanning the screens until his eyes widen in shock. A dark, shadowy figure slowly materializes, moving across the lobby toward him. He sees it. It's real. Stunned, he watches as the figure approaches the front desk. And then, just like that, it vanishes into thin air. His reaction? Pure, unscripted disbelief. "I saw it! I saw that!" he exclaims, pointing to the spot where the shadow had just been. His voice trembles, half amazement, half fear.
Look how I saw that shit. I saw that shit. See, I saw that shit. And I'm like, and then it disappeared over there by the desk.
Then it disappeared right over there behind the desk. The adrenaline rush in his words is unmistakable. The voice of someone who knows exactly what they saw but can hardly believe it. At first, Jay wondered if his mind had played a trick on him. A shadow? A reflection? Maybe just exhaustion? But when he replayed the CCTV footage, all doubts vanished. The figure was right there, clear as day. Not a blur, not a glitch. Something, or someone, had been in that lobby with him. What makes this encounter so haunting isn't just the ghostly figure, it's how casually it appeared. There was no chaos, no flickering lights, no eerie background music. It was just a calm, steady shadow crossing the floor, as if it had walked that path 100 times before. So who, or what, was it? Could it have been a restless spirit tied to the hospital's troubled past? Maybe it was the ghost of a patient who never truly checked out. Shadows in the ICU. Being in the ICU is already an intense, nerve-wracking experience. But imagine the added terror of feeling like you're not alone. Like something or someone is in the room with you when no one else is there. That's exactly what happened to one patient who couldn't shake the eerie sensation of an unseen presence lurking nearby. He kept catching fleeting glimpses of movement in the corners of his eyes, but every time he turned his head, nothing was there. The unease grew so intense that he did what anyone in today's world would do. He pulled out his smartphone and started recording. What he captured is chilling. A faint shadow seems to glide silently across the room, right in front of his bed. It wasn't the shadow of a nurse, doctor, or even his own. It was something entirely different. Was it just a trick of the light, a reflection, or was it something far more sinister? Whatever it was, the footage left the patient so shaken that he refused to turn off the lights for the rest of his stay. If this was a visitor, it was certainly not from the land of the living. The Shadowman of Mexico. Some ghost sightings are easy to dismiss. Fuzzy figures or strange sounds that could just be your mind playing tricks. But then there are those moments that are so clear, so chilling, even the biggest skeptics can't explain them. Take this one, for example, caught on camera in a hospital in Mexico. Two nurses are just hanging out, joking around during their night shift, when one of them notices something weird beyond the operating room door. Then, out of nowhere, a dark figure, human-like in shape, zooms across the room at a speed that's way too fast for anything human. It doesn't walk, it doesn't float, it just bolts across the screen and vanishes. The nurses are frozen, unsure of what they just saw. The room beyond the glass was supposed to be empty. No one was supposed to be there. What they saw didn't fit any explanation. These Shadow Man sightings, figures that move way too fast, have been reported before in hospitals. But are they the spirits of past patients or something else? Whatever it was, it definitely wasn't supposed to be there. And just like that, it disappeared. The spirit of Norwich State Hospital. Some adventures lead to thrill and excitement, but for a group of friends exploring the haunted Norwich State Hospital, theirs turned into an encounter they'll never forget. This group of friends decided to explore the infamous Norwich State Hospital, a place known for its dark history and rumors of paranormal activity. They were just looking for a little thrill, something to get their adrenaline pumping, but what they found that night is something they might wish they'd never encountered. Armed with nothing but flashlights and a phone to document their adventure, they ventured through the decaying hallways, chatting and joking about the creepy legends tied to the place. The air was thick with tension, and the silence around them felt almost unnatural. But then, out of nowhere, a voice, soft yet unmistakably clear, broke through the stillness. It was the voice of a young girl, and it echoed through the empty halls, sending chills down their spines. They froze, hearts racing. Did they really hear that? Or was it just their minds playing tricks on them in the dark? It wasn't until they reviewed the footage later that their stomachs sank. There, standing behind a shattered glass door, was a faint white figure, almost as if someone, or something, was watching them from the shadows. Was it a trick of the light? A reflection? Or had they really come face to face with a spirit trapped in the ruins of Norwich? One thing's for sure, this was no ordinary prank or camera glitch. Whatever they encountered that night, it left more questions than answers. Nurse's testimony. A routine night shift turned into a nightmare when a nurse in a quiet hospital found himself confronting something that wasn't supposed to be there. From the very start of his shift, things felt off. Little things that couldn't be brushed aside. Whispers came from empty rooms, shadowy figures flickered in his peripheral vision, and an icy chill would creep through the air for no reason at all. It was like something was lurking just out of sight, something that didn't belong. But it was one night that turned everything upside down. The shift had begun just like any other. Quiet hallways, patients sleeping soundly, and nothing out of the ordinary. That is, until a loud crash suddenly broke the silence, echoing through the lobby. He rushed to check, thinking maybe a patient had fallen out of bed or caused some disturbance. Instead, what he found was far stranger. An overturned chair, sitting in the middle of the room as though someone had knocked it over in a hurry. The bizarre part? It had been perfectly still just moments earlier. Still shaken, he returned to his station, only to be jolted by an alert from the security system. The footage he reviewed made his blood run cold. A shadowy figure was gliding through the hallway, moving with an eerie, unnatural grace. Nothing like any human could. His heart pounded as he watched. But the creepiest part came the next night. During his rounds, he heard a whisper, his name, clear as day. He whipped around, expecting to see a colleague, but the hallway was completely empty. The other staff tried to laugh it off, chalking it up to stress or overactive imagination, but for this nurse, there was no doubt. Whatever was haunting those halls wasn't a trick of the mind. Something else was working the night shift. Brian Barano's ritual. Some places are best left alone, and some rituals should never be performed. But Brian Barano and his team weren't about to let fear hold them back. Equipped with cameras and ghost hunting tools, they entered a recently deserted hospital, already known for its eerie reputation. What began as an adventurous exploration quickly took a sinister turn after they made a fatal error. They decided to try a ritual to communicate with the spirit world. At first, there was nothing. Too quiet, almost unnervingly so. The rest of the team was on the lower floors while Brian set up his equipment, hoping to capture any sign of the supernatural. Minutes passed with nothing, but then things began to shift. The air grew unnervingly cold, a strange noise echoed through the halls, and then, just when he thought he was imagining it, his camera caught something. It was small, fleeting, and unmistakable. A faint figure, childlike in appearance, drifting in the shadows. Was it a camera glitch? A trick of the light? Or had Brian accidentally summoned something he was never meant to encounter? No one can say for sure, but one thing is certain. The hospital, though abandoned, was far from empty that night. From the flickering shadows to the eerie whispers that followed them, these haunting hospital encounters only leave more questions than answers. Are they the lingering souls of those who once walked those halls, echoes from a troubled past, or is there something far more sinister at play? Security encounter. He didn't believe in ghosts until the hospital's top floor proved him wrong. Sometimes, the most convincing paranormal evidence doesn't come from ghost hunters or thrill seekers. It comes from everyday people just going about their jobs. That's exactly what happened in this next case, caught on camera by a hospital security guard who, up until this moment, didn't believe in ghosts. But one strange night changed everything. It all began with an unexplained sound echoing from one of the hospital's long-abandoned upper floors. The area had been shut down for years, and no one was supposed to be up there. Feeling a mix of curiosity and unease, the guard decided to check it out. As he made his way up the dimly lit stairwell, he pulled out his phone to document whatever might be waiting for him. In a nervous whisper to the camera, he explained that he was now on the closed-off floors and had just heard something strange. He admitted it was freaking him out a bit and said he planned to keep filming, just in case. At first, everything looks normal. The hallway is silent and still, lined with old equipment and dusty tiles. But then, something. A subtle movement near a window catches the eye. Behind a chair, barely visible, stands a dark, shadowy figure. The guard doesn't react. He doesn't see it. Whether it was the lighting, nerves, or just not looking in the right direction, he remains unaware of what the camera just picked up. And then, something even more chilling happens. At the far end of the hallway, another shadow, this one more distinct, emerges and silently moves, only to vanish seconds later into the dark. Was it all a trick of the light? Could it be a coincidence or a glitch in the camera's sensor? Maybe. But for those who've watched the footage, including the guard himself, there's a different explanation, something otherworldly, something still lingering in that forgotten floor of the hospital. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.